Hello, everybody, and welcome into this week's 30 Minutes program. We're going to be talking about gas, natural gas, everybody. Thank you for joining us here today, ladies and gentlemen. And our guest is Brent Dillahunty. He is with the West Tennessee Public Utility District. He's been a manager there for a while, and he knows it from the top to bottom of what goes on in natural gas. They serve 5 counties, but more than anything else, they're here to serve you. And Brent, first off, is it cold?
It's cold.
Is it getting cold?
It's getting cold. Hey, but we like that, Paul. I mean, that's when we make hay. As a public utility district, you know, you walk the line of you have your rate set, and so you have a history of usage and different throughputs for different, you know, rate classes, and so, you know, unique. I don't know if it's unique, but it's not consistent across all utility districts or gas companies across the state of Tennessee. Our fiscal year begins April 1st and it ends March 31st. And so, you know, if we start out with a warm April and we go into the winter, and, you know, you go into the winter, the majority of your usage is in the winter. It could be November start or December, whatever it is. You know, you could get, and it makes a lot of business people squirm when I tell them this, because we get deeply in the red, like an income statement, because the winter's where we make hay. And so we're not for profit, but we're intended to make profit to sustain us long term. And so, you know, this winter you go into November like we've had, severely in the red, like we historically do. And it's very warm. It's 80 degrees the first week of November, and then our gas sales aren't there. And December turns around. It had a pretty decent December, and then January shows up. And from my wife laughs at me all the time because I'm just kind of a little bit different on edge November, December, especially when it's warm. And when I see that first sign of cold weather coming, she can just see my demeanor change, because I'm like, oh, we're going to be fine, because, like I said, we've got till March 31st to come out of it. We've had a really good January so far. Next week looks really cold, and our system's holding up. February looks pretty good, so we're excited about the winter from our standpoint. We know from an end-user standpoint they don't like those bills, but hey, we're here to keep you warm. We're here to provide energy for you, and so that's a negative of living in a first world society. You get upset about having luxuries in life, I guess, sometimes.
Who owns West Tennessee Public Utility District?
Man, that's a great question. And a lot of people don't even think about that. There's no answer to that. And so there's 3 types of, say, gas systems or utility companies in the state of Tennessee, or really across the country. 3 mainly. There's some other categories, but you got public utility district, which we are. Then you've got a municipality, like, say, City of Martin, City of Huntington, you know, Town of Huntington. Then you've got private systems. And I mean, Atmos Energy provides gas, you know, to some areas around here. They're private, and so, you know, Atmos, who owns them? Well, they're a company, they're a corporation, they're, you know, their board, profit sharing, all that stuff. Well, who owns a municipality? Who owns the City of Martin? Well, the City of Martin owns it, right? Well, who owns West Tennessee Public Utility District? There's no answer to that. And so, you know, we've actually had over the last, it's gone back for a couple of decades now, but it rears up every couple of years in the state legislature, where privates want to purchase public utility district, but the laws aren't in play to allow them to make that transaction. And so they're trying to create laws to allow for that. And we as public utility districts are opposed to that. We fight against that. And the reason why is because we think it's the best way to operate a utility for the end user. We're not there to line the pockets of investors, or I don't make money on good deals that I cut for the company. We're there just to provide a service, a good service for our ratepayers, and make decisions to be there for a very, very long time.
Basically, the entity is overseen by you and some directors. Is that correct?
That's right. We like you said, we serve gas in 5 counties, and those counties are Carroll County, Weakley County, Benton County. We have the town of Henry, so we have customers in Henry County, and we also have some customers, maybe 400 in Henderson County. But we were chartered in Benton, Weakley, and Carroll. So our charter established a board, and there's one seat for each of those 3 counties. So we're governed by that board underneath state law, public utility law. I'm their one employee. That's what we were told by the comptroller. They're trained. They have 12 hours of training our board every 12 years by law. And that's one of the first things they're aware of, that your one employee is the general manager. And if you don't like what's going on there, then it's all on him. And you want to change the culture, you want to change things overall, you get rid of him or her. And other than that, I'm responsible for all of our operations and all our employees and how we transact business and deliver gas to customers.
Who is your director from each of the counties?
Yeah, so we have our longest standing board member is from Carroll County. His name is Dr. Lee Butler. He's been a board member since 1999. And a year ago, we had Alan Strawbridge, which is an attorney from Dresden.
Former mayor, too.
Very well known, very respected, ex-military. He last year decided to resign his board position, and he has since moved to Texas with his daughter, very sweet lady. And so he resigned, and he was replaced by a younger gentleman named Andrew Wilhite, which is in the farming business here. He's very well known, too. He lives in Dresden. And then we have the Benton County seat was held from 1969 to 2023 by a well-known man named Ray Smith. And Ray Smith has been in pretty much every business you could probably be in. We miss him dearly. He passed away this past year, and his seat was filled by Dr. Alan Douglas, formerly of Douglas Chiropractic in Camden. Now he still practices with his wife still there, but through different ownership. But he has been on our board since May. And so they're business people, understand business. We've had great time to interact with them, try to educate them. And our board is a strength of what we do. And they're not trying to politic for their area. They're trying to just, excuse me, what they all realize is we've been very strong for a long time. And we try to do things right. They see that. They just try to bolster and continue to support what it is that we do really well.
So you have Dresden for Weakley County.
That's right.
And Henry County.
Henry County. We serve Henry County, yes. Our Camden is where our board seat is filled. Dr. Douglas, and Huntington, Dr. Butler, if that's what we were talking about.
In this part of what you do, by the way, if you've just tuned in, we're talking to Brent Dillahunty. He's the manager of West Tennessee Public Utility District. He is that one employee that we talked about a moment ago. But this is a time of the year where we're going to have a lot of ice, we're going to have a lot of snow, we're going to have a lot of problems, electricity, and those kinds of things. You serve well because when the power goes out, you folks are still sending natural gas.
Our marketing manager a few years ago, she put some radio ads out. She may have cut them here, I'm not sure, but
she did. And
she talks about when lines are down, we're in the ground. And we have friends, we love our friends in the electric side. We jab each other, We're all doing the same thing. We're trying to provide a good service, just a different product. But yeah, we do have issues, but we're protected well because a lot of our facilities, the majority of them are in the ground. And so when we have ice, we do have some above ground things. Obviously, your meters are above ground. We have regulator stations. Usually the bigger ones are housed in some type of brick with a roof over them. And then we have what's called farm taps, which are out there too. And so, ice could cause problems with them, but typically we know about those problems pretty quick, and it's easy to fix. It's nothing like having power lines go down because ice is on them. We clap and cheer on our electric friends when they have to deal with all the stuff we don't have to, and we really respect them for that too.
Yeah, and as truth be known, I mean, you do have to have electricity to run a lot of things that
absolutely.
you use. So.
Yeah, we need it all.
The West Tennessee Public Utility District is known primarily for what reason, what purpose? What do people look to you for?
Yeah, well, I mean, I could say a lot of things there. You know, the basis of how we were formed was to provide natural gas, uninterrupted natural gas at a reasonable cost-effective natural gas. And so what we talk about a lot in our company is if we did that, we really shouldn't stand up and cheer or pat each other on the back, because that's like the floor of what we do, right? So we take it above and beyond, and we talk a lot about being community servants. And so we have red trucks. We're known for our red trucks. And so we talk to kids a lot when we're in schools. We talk to our communities, and I'm sincere about this, and our people know this, and we have great people that hold up their end of the bargain, is that we want people to know when you see our red trucks, you have competent people in your area that not just know about natural gas, but they have servant hearts, and they're willing to do things above just delivering natural gas and helping you fix those things. For instance, you know, we talk about if you go and someone has a pilot light out, and that's why you were called into their home, and you notice, say there's an elderly lady there, a widow, and you notice there's some light bulbs that need to be replaced. Our guys fix them. Our guys replace them for them. If I was stuck on the side of the road, I'd feel great safety seeing one of our red trucks drive up, and not because I know them. If I was just a member of the public, I would feel great safety because I know that there's going to be competent men there to assist me, and they hold up their end of the deal. So I hope that we're known by being community servants. We want our employees to be involved in the PTA, the Lions clubs of the world, the Elks Lodges, the
Rotary,
name them all. You know, we want them to be
Optimus.
town. Yeah, we want them to be on the town council.
Yeah.
We want them to coach little league teams. You know, and we just want them to be public servants, and you know, put our family first, and just be men and women of integrity that are just willing to serve, because ultimately that's what we do. The natural gas is just an avenue. It's this product we deliver, but it's just an avenue to be a public servant. So we have a lot of people who I find out a year or two down the road did some things that just warms my heart. And I hope we're known by that.
I know a lot of people depend on natural gas to keep them warm in their homes.
Mm-hmm.
But here we go.
Yeah.
You have made some expansion over the last, I guess, 5 years, maybe even longer, putting in, and forgive me for the wrong words.
That's fine.
You put in a lot of pipeline.
That's right.
Under the ground to be able to help agriculture.
That's right.
Particularly for farm animals and other reasons.
Yeah. 5 years is right as far as the poultry farming, the chicken farms that have boomed in northern Weakley County largely. We have some in Carroll County, but largely here because it's in close proximity to Tyson's plant in Union City. And, last year we had $1 million of gas sales simply for poultry farming, chicken houses, because they need so much heat, especially early on in the lifespan of that chicken. When they're really small, they need to keep those barns at like 95 degrees. And so, yeah, we have a lot of industry, a big industry.
Can we stay on? Can we stay on there for just
sure. Hey,
1 second about that. I'm amazed at how it all. I don't know how to express myself on this part of it, but it would appear from the sitting on the sidelines here and listening, you got to have some kind of a big unit to keep all of those baby chicks and other chickens and so forth. You got to keep everything. You talked about being warm. That means there's agriculture business taking place by building these barns, if we will, and being able to access the natural gas to be able to keep them warm and so forth. And agriculture today is much different than what it was 25 years ago, 20 years ago, and so forth.
That's right. Yeah. You mentioned the heaters. I mean, they're those barns are big. They build the barns now. They're mega barns, and there's a lot of heaters in those things. A lot of piping involved in that, and Yeah, agriculture has changed. Now, another way it's changed is we have a lot of grain dryers that 25 years ago they weren't there.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, yeah. And so, it's funny. I've been in the gas business for 10 years, and you saw, this wave of people get into drying grain, about the time that I was coming in on a smaller scale, and then you had some people that kind of, they didn't get into that, and then there's this wave where the people who got in on a small scale took the next step to a bigger scale, and the people who weren't in got into the small scale, and then everybody's drying grain now. Of course, last year, as you know, we had the drought, and so we didn't sell a lot of gas to farmers because they just didn't need it because it, dried in the field or whatnot. But there's a lot of agriculture farmers using it to dry grain to get to the market quickly.
Industry requires natural gas.
Oh, yeah.
All over the place.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we have industry. Some gas systems in Tennessee don't have as much industry as we do. We have clay plants. We have aluminum plants. We have pottery plants now. And then just a heat load to other people who don't use processed gas in the process of making a product. So if they have a big warehouse or a lot of employees under a roof, they're going to use gas to heat that. And we love being a part of attracting new industry also, which we've done over the last several years.
Well, I was going to jump into that, but
yeah.
Agriculture, great. You have the homes and the businesses, great.
Mm-hmm.
But industry is what drives a community,
That's
a
right.
county, a city.
That's right.
And they really want to have natural gas. It's almost a requirement.
Yeah, it is. And, I can talk hours of, this could go down a lot of different roads, but, our country, the world is, we need energy. And so there's limits to where electric can go, large amounts of electricity can go because of not just grid limitations, but infrastructure. And so, we can go places, and really, I'll always introduce this. People could generate their own electricity with our product, with natural gas. You see it, TVA does it every day. It's going to push 40% of their grid's going to be generated by burning natural gas. And so if they're doing it, why can't they just do it directly at the businesses? Because, a lot of our rural communities, they don't have that electric infrastructure there to attract an industry, but yet we've got gas lines in the ground nearby these facilities that could provide a lot of energy.
What does the federal government look like for, as we record here, the inauguration is coming up this Monday. President Trump has talked about going back and relieving those who want to have natural gas through the means of which he has been talking about. I don't want to get too deep into that, but the bottom line is you got to have those natural resources.
Yeah, you do.
Does that help natural gas?
Absolutely.
To have the president saying he wants to drill.
Well, yeah, absolutely it does. Just think about whatever business you're in. If you've got the federal government speaking negatively about it, you're going to be very cautious about growing your business because you're not going to expend a lot of capital and generate a scenario where you may have a great loss. And so, the narrative and the support of our federal government and our president is huge for them. And so, to know that they're going to have the support and the vision to grow and drill, it's one thing to say, well, you could come and drill here. Legally, you could, versus a president going, we want you to do that. We're going to support and encourage you to do it. It's two different worlds. And so what we're going to see people is they're going to put the large capital projects out there to go and drill because the environment's going to be right for them to succeed when they find the gas.
Mm-hmm. By the way, where do you get your gas, natural gas for West Tennessee Public Utility
That's
District?
a great question. So there are largely 3 cross-country pipelines that travel through West Tennessee. So the north, you have Texas Gas. Just south of that, you have A&R Trans-Canada, and then to the southern part of West Tennessee that travels to the northeast through Middle Tennessee, you have Tennessee Gas Pipeline.
I've seen just recently in Obion County, I've seen a lot of pipeline being set. What's going on, say, over in Obion County?
I think we use a contractor. We have a good relationship with a contractor out of Union City called Rebel Construction.
Know them well. Nice people.
Very nice people. We highly recommend them. And they were at our office before Christmas just catching up with us. They did a little bit of work for us, in the summer. And they always stop by around Christmas, say hi and that kind of thing. And they did have a project they were on there. I can't remember the extent of what it is and why they were doing it, but I would say it's probably Revel Construction. And I believe they probably are doing that project for Atmos Energy. I think that's right. Don't hold me to it, but I think that's accurate.
So who is the vendor for you?
So the vendor would be we would get our gas off of Tennessee Gas Pipeline. We have a tap there in Scotts Hill, Tennessee. So that hence we have customers in Henderson County, and the reason for that is because we have a tap in Scotts Hill, and then there's a 43-mile stretch of 12-inch high-pressure steel to Huntington. And so we're able to get some customers there that say Lexington, the town of Lexington, they have their own gas system, but the path that our pipe takes, they don't cover that area, so we serve some along that way. And then we have a second tap on a second pipeline, which is very unique to have two separate pipelines that you supply your system. It's in Gleason, and it is it is A&R Trans-Canada pipeline. And so we're thankful to have two. It allows us a lot of flexibility and options. And, it's not just about buying the gas. You actually have to contract with the pipelines for space in their pipe so that your customers won't become what's called shut in. It's called firm gas. So people know they have firm gas. So the pipeline, every day we have a contract that says contractually you're to provide this much gas to us. You can't oversell this pipeline because you owe us this in a contract. And so those are expensive contracts, and they're managed by FERC, the FERC. And so, FERC regulates them of how much they can charge per contract. And so when you have two, you now can bring competition between the two to get discounts on those rates.
I've got to ask this question. If you use Scotts Hill, for example, a moment ago, if the pipeline, for lack of other words, quit working, I could call it a train ran over, whatever it happens to be, but you don't have any natural gas, what's the backup plan that West Tennessee Public Utility District has? Or does all the gas go away for a while and then you have to fix that and then turn it back on?
Yeah. It would be
because you have a backup.
Yeah, well, yes. It would be incident specific. I mean, what you'd be talking about would be an act of God. Now, so the pipelines, so if you drive down the road and you see, markers of pipelines across the road.
Which ones are yours? Blue, yellow, pink, red?
Ours are yellow. Okay. Yeah, yellow is going to indicate petroleum or natural gas. And so if you see a crossing a roadway, it's going to have pipeline markers on both sides of the road. You're not going to miss it. But a lot of times you're going to see multiple rows mean multiple pipes. And so we have backups at our tap station. We don't just tap one of their pipes. We may have a tap on two of their pipes. Because sometimes they do have to have maintenance on one pipe, and so we use the other one. So there's that. And then we have the second tap, which could supply us with gas if needed. I
always wonder, how do you determine how much gas you have to pay for? I mean, most of us, when we talk about gas, we're talking about gasoline. We know what the price of a gallon of gas is, but what do you charge in cubic feet? Is that? We
charge in CCF, which is like a therm.
What does that CCF stand for?
It's like a therm.
Okay.
Yes, I'd say a therm. An MCF is how I like to think about things, million cubic feet. An MCF is a million BTUs.
Okay.
We bill in CCF, which essentially is therms, and it's very complicated. Our gas is market driven, so it's constantly fluctuating. But we set our rates on the cost of gas the first of the month based on what's called an index price from Henry Hub down in the Gulf area. And then we're held to that index through the month as long as our numbers work out. There's sometimes we may have to buy gas daily. If it gets really cold, we don't have enough in storage, we buy daily gas, and then you're just at the market price that day.
So when you just said put it in storage, I mean, those are the kinds of things that people think about it in a different way. We're going to go put it in a storage shop as opposed to...
Yeah.
But I'm impressed with the manner of which natural gas is handled. The other aspect about it is it's fairly... Well, I mean, how do you say it? I mean, it doesn't cost a tremendous amount of money. It could at some point, maybe, but I mean, it seems to be right in line that everybody's satisfied with.
The price of natural gas. Yeah, absolutely.
You don't hear anybody arguing about, too much. I mean, you hear people, but it's because, they ran it up. You turn up that thermostat. Sometimes, you have to
So if you look back over 20 years, the last 10, 15, you see this fracking that comes in. So you find all this gas in the ground. They're going out, they can get it. Whereas in the past, if you looked at the price of natural gas over time, it could be quite volatile, and the fracking really has smoothed out the volatility in the market. Now, we did see an uptick of gas in 2022, and largely that was because of the political environment. And they changed course, and you saw gas go back down. But gas is pretty cheap.
Brent Dillahunty. Brent, I must ask you, since we're in cold weather, what tips do you encourage to the public who have natural gas?
My main thing, I always think about safety first. And so, carbon monoxide is a big thing. So tips to stay safe would be, to have your stuff inspected annually. Have a carbon monoxide monitor in your home. Be thinking about that because it's a silent killer. It's nothing you can smell. A matter of fact, my house, we had the chambers replaced at a 15-year-old unit, had the chambers replaced a month ago. It had a hole in it the size of a golf ball. Well, that could be dangerous because carbon monoxide could get into my home. And so that would be a tip. Other than that, windows, doors, the windows it's a big deal. Make sure your windows are sealed. And you see the houses built now. You have a 2,600 square foot house that's built within the last 5 years, and you had one that's built 50 years ago. The gas bills in the winter are very different, and it's all about how they were built. And just the windows, sealing around the windows would help greatly.
Let me give you the last word about natural gas and West Tennessee Public Utility District. Something that you might feel as though we left out.
Oh, wow. So I'm going to say call 811. I mean, we're 811 before you dig. Again, going back to safety. That's our biggest message. We put that on everything we're a part of. No one knows what's in the ground, and so we want to keep you safe. So please call 811. It's a free call. Call 3 days in advance just to give us time. The law says that you have to call before you dig, and that's our biggest risk factor in our system. We have a really good system. We don't have a aging, leaking system. Our biggest thing is weekend warriors, farmers, contractors, not calling before they dig or just being reckless with digging. And not only does it put you at harm because of what danger it could cause, but now all of a sudden we have to deploy our people to go fix it. And guess what they're fixing? A situation where there's blowing gas. So that's not what anyone wants to do.
If you've enjoyed our program today, let the West Tennessee Public Utility District folks know about it. And in the meantime, let me just say thank you for your time today.
Thank you,
this
Paul.
has been a
Appreciate
very interesting program. I've learned a lot, and I know our listeners have as well. And,
thanks
so much for coming in.
Yes, sir. Thank you. God bless everyone.
That's our program today. Thank you, Brent Dillahunty, West Tennessee Public Utility District Manager. This has been 30 Minutes. I'm Paul Tinkle.
You've been listening to 30 Minutes, a community affairs program on Thunderbolt Radio. You can listen to this broadcast and others anytime by visiting thunderboltradio.com and following the Thunderbolt Radio and Digital YouTube page. Thanks for listening.